Okay, guys, we need to start class. There's just a couple of you here today, out of 14. I appreciate you two being here. 'Cause I hate to lecture to an empty room, isn't it? Antonio, did you have a good Thanksgiving?
Not really, cause I had to work at home.
Had to work.
Yeah, I worked on Thanksgiving Day.
You made some money.
Oh yeah, made some good money.
Yeah, good. You should have paid you double time on Thanksgiving Day.
Oh yeah, we get paid overtime.
Good.
So other than that, it was alright.
For the new factor.
I had a good time. Just hung out with family.
For the family. I know a lot of times last night had class. What do they have for Thanksgiving? Some have turkey, some have ham. What?
Turkey.
Turkey?
Yeah, we ain't out taking it.
Well, lots of students had deer meat on Thanksgiving Day.
I never had that before.
Yeah,
I heard it's really good.
it's okay. I've tried it.
It's not like hammer turkey
Yeah,
or beef. It's like a tier below.
no. Well, on my way to find deer meat. But anyway, we got 1 week. That's today and Thursday, guys. And I tried to wrap up chapter 8 on bank reconciliation. Don't have time to go back to it. It's done. It's history. I hope you have Cengage brought up to date on chapter 8. All right. And I hope you have Cengage pretty much brought up to date on chapter 9. If not, you should have that brought up to date by Thursday of this week, Cengage. Now, chapter 10, you should have brought up to date before the exam next week. So on. Now, I told you the exam would be all multiple choice. And we got a lot to do on chapter 9 and 10, but today I want to look at 10. You can have a half a page of notes.
Is it half a page?
You can have well, I'll let you have a whole page on just one side. And I probably won't repeat that again. So if y'all want to tell anybody, you can. If you don't want to tell anybody, you don't have to. If they don't watch the video, they won't have their notes. So if they watch the video, they'll be in the same boat you are in. But you can have that 1 page of notes, and it should help. All right, we got to talk about depreciation, and these are called fixed assets or long-term assets. That is your property, plant, and equipment. That is equipment, machinery, building, computers, trucks, cars, anything, fixed assets, not a current asset. A cost may be classified as a fixed asset, investment, or an expense. But we know what a fixed asset is, hopefully. Come in, Margaret. You're in the right place.
Yeah.
Right now, look at, Margaret, you had 11 days off. I guess you're ready to go at it this week, aren't you?
When the test, that's not like,
The what?
when the test.
Next week?
Next Thursday?
I don't know what day it is. Y'all looked at the exam schedule, guys? All right. Anyway, when we buy a building, things we add to it is architect fees, engineer fees, insurance, interest, sales tax, repairs, modified for use, permits. All that is added on to the bill. Machinery, sales tax is added on, freight, installation, repairs, to get it into operation. Insurance while in transit, and so on. Land, just usually the purchase price, any sales tax, any permits, any commissions, title fees, surveying fees, removal of unwanted building, grading and leveling, all goes into the fixed asset land. Now, land is one asset that we do not depreciate. Now, there is a little problem at the end of the chapter on what goes on the building and what goes on the land and what doesn't. Now, unnecessary costs that do not increase the asset's usefulness would be an expense. If somebody tore something up on your building, you had it repaired, that's some other expense. That is not cost of building. A theft, on mistakes in installing, come in, Jacob. Damage during unpacking, that is not added on to equipment. A lease, we won't worry much about leases. Leaseor, who owns the asset, the leasee, who rents the asset. Anybody here ever lease a vehicle? All right, usually it's not a good deal. I'm not going to worry about leasing a fixed asset. Now, our big topic this morning is depreciation. And we're going to spend a little time on it. And we looked at it a little bit a couple of weeks ago. We know depreciation is wear and tear. We know it's using it. It can become obsolete like our computers, our computer programs, our Microsoft, our Windows, our Word. What version of Excel are you using now? Is there a version of Excel, a latest version?
2016.
2016? Now, does that just usually come in an Office suite with Word and other items? 2016, that's 3 years. That'll soon change, probably. All right, we got to account for depreciation. We're going to practice this morning. We got to know its cost. We got to know its life, and we got to know residual. Another word for residual is scrap or disposable value, throwaway value, trade-in value. Any synonym you can find for residual. The purchase price plus any other cost in obtaining it. Now, our IRS gives some guidelines on the expected life. Again, they mention residual value, that's just scrap value. They call it salvage, scrap, trade-in. Residual, all the same thing. All right, now look at this asset. Now that little formula for straight line depreciation is equal to the cost minus, I'm still going to go with scrap, which is residual, over the life. Okay, real quickly, find me the depreciation on this item. It was bought on January 1st, so 1 year depreciation. What'd you get?
4,400.
4,400. All right, that's just 24,000 minus 2. That's 22,000 over 5 years. 5 divided into 22,000. 4,400 seems correct. All right, we debit depreciation expense for 4,400. And we credit accumulated depreciation for 4,400. Okay, now, after 3 years, what is the accumulated depreciation in year 3? What's the accumulated depreciation after year 3? How do you find it? How much is it a year?
4,400.
4,400 times 3.
13,200.
That'd be your accumulated depreciation after year 3. Now, what would be your book value after year 3? Your book value is cost minus accumulated depreciation is equal to book value. Do what?
10,800.
24,000 minus accumulated depreciation of 13 what?
It's 13,200, I think.
All right, so your book value is going to be how much?
10,800.
10,800. Now you may decide to trade that in, so you'll need to know that. All right. Now, part year depreciation. We need to look at it as we go today. What if we bought this piece of equipment on September the 1st, 2019? What is your depreciation for part year? 4 months. September, October, November, December. What's your depreciation for 4 months?
$1,100.
It was how much for a year? 44? All right. All right, you got September, October, November, December. That's 4 months. 4 over 12 would be 1/3. Now, if for 3 months, it'd be 1,100 pack. That'd be 3 over 12, be 1/4. 4 and 4,400 is 1,100. But what is 4 twelfths? 1/3. So you're really dividing 3 into 4,400. So what's your depreciation? 3 into 4 is 1. 3 into 14 is how much? Well, 3 into 14. Come on, somebody multiply 4,400 times 4 twelfths. That's 1/3. You're dividing by 3. What is that? 14 what?
66.
1466. All right. Decimals 66, I guess, which would be 1467. That's part year depreciation. So let's stay with straight line for a minute on this example. All right, I'm going to change the cost to 50,000. I'm going to change the life to 10 years. And I'm going to change the salvage value to 5,000. Real quick, everybody find me 1 whole year of depreciation. If you practice with me, fellas, this will pay off next week. Jacob, you got a calculator? Morgan, did you eat a lot of turkey?
Yeah.
How about you, Jacob? A lot of turkey?
Yeah.
What's your first year depreciation?
4,500.
All right, 50,000 minus 5 is 45,000 divided by 10 is 4,500. All right, what is your accumulated depreciation after 3 years?
13,500.
Multiply that by 3 and you get accumulated depreciation of 13,500. What is your book value after 3 years? 13,500 from 50?
36,500.
36,500. All right. Let's say you bought this item April 1, 19. What's my part year depreciation? If I bought it on April 1, 19, that's 9 months remaining. What was your depreciation for 1 year? 4,500. Multiply that by 9 over 12, which is really 75%, or 3/4. The what?
3,375.
3,200 and what?
375.
All right. Now that's all about straight line depreciation. We got to move on. Now we've looked at this one. Now we got to look at units of production and double decline balance. Straight line, cost minus residual over the life. We did that. We found 4,400, and we did more to that. We found accumulated depreciation after 3 years. No, we didn't. We need to add those three together. Now, it says straight line may be simplified by converting the depreciation to a percent. We know that 4 years is 25% a year. 5 years is 20% a year. That's just 100 divided by 5. 8 years is 12 and a half, and 10 years is 10. 20 years is 5, and 25 years is 4, and 4 years is 25%. All right. Now, what would 3 years be? 33 and a third a year. All right. What would 6 years be? All you do divide 6 into 100, you get 16 and 2/3. You see, 16 2/3 is half of 33 and a third. 33 and a third is 1/3, so 16 and 2/3 must be 1/6. If you all get the relationship between numbers, it makes math easy for you. All right, now why are we doing this? Now, back on that first example we had, what did that asset cost? It cost 24,000 minus 2 scrap. That was 22,000, right? And we divide that by 5 years. What do we get?
4,400.
All right, now multiply 22,000 by 20%. Multiply 22,000 by 20%. Still the same thing, isn't it? So you can use a percent or you can divide. Now we'll need to know these percents in a minute. Here's your journal entry for straight line or any depreciation. We talked about accumulated. Book value is equipment cost minus accumulated. All right, work this one real quick. We don't have a lot of time, gentlemen. work that real quick. Answer those 3 questions real quick. Have they already done it? Did they do it for you? Alright, the depreciable cost is 125 minus 5. That'd be 120. The rate would be, if it's 10 years, 10 into 100 is 10% a year. So 10% of 120,000 would have to be 12,000. Alright? Real quick, let's do one more. Let's change that to 40,000. Move this back to 5 years. Let's change this scrap to 2,000. You can make out what I've got there. 40,000, 5 years, 2,000. Answer those 3 questions. I hope you're practicing with me. If you don't have a calculator, do it on paper. I can see Anthony and Patrick are with me. All right, first question. What's the depreciable cost? 40,000 minus 2 is what?
38.
The depreciable rate is how much?
7,600.
Wait a minute now. Rate.
5 years.
5 years is how much a year? What percent?
20%.
20%. And your depreciation is 20% of 38,000 is how much? How much?
76.
All right. Now you should be mastering straight line depreciation. Now units of production method, a unit can be a unit. We put together 100 cars on the assembly line today. A unit can be hours. A unit can be miles. A unit can be a kilowatt hour. So a unit can be a lot of different things. Same old formula as straight line. Cost minus scrap over life in units. All right, here we have 24,000 cost. Scrap is 2, that leaves 22. Useful life is 10. Now divide 10,000 into 22,000. $10,000 into 22,000 gives you how much?
0.45.
Whoa, how much?
Oh, my bad, I did it backwards.
Did it backwards. 10,000 into $22,000.
2.2.
All right, hopefully you got $2.20. Now step 2, how many units did we use it this particular year? Here we're talking about hours. So 220 per times 2,100 hours would be your depreciation. That is units of production. All right, let's look at an example. An item costs $80,000. Scrap is $5,000. Its life in units is 100,000 units. Now first off, find me how much depreciation is per unit. And this first year, you produced 20,000 units. Tell me how much depreciation there is on that 20,000 units. How much?
15,000.
Alright, how much did we get per unit then?
75 cents.
Alright, 80 times minus 5 is,
75.
divided by 100 is what? 75 cents. And, Jacob, you multiplied that by 75 cents, and you got 15,000, right? Units of production. One thing about units of production, you don't have to worry about part year. Okay, guys, that's two major methods right there. Don't have to worry about part year. All right, now go back and look at this rate. What rate did they come up with here? Two what? 220. All right, what is your depreciation for year 3? Year 3, what's the depreciation? Got a calculator? Anthony, you got this. What is it? All right, 2,600 times 220. I'm gonna take your word for it. 6720.
I got 57.20.
The what?
I got 57.20.
57.
Yeah.
I'll take your word for that too. 2,600 times 220. Now we're going to look at double declining balance. Now this method, scrap residual, does not exist. So don't fool with scrap on double declining balance. Sometimes it's referred to as double declining balance, DDB. Okay? All right. Now look at this, the double declining balance example. Forget about residual value. Now, 5 years is what percent a year? 5 into 100 is what?
What?
But it says double. So what is 20 double?
40.
So multiply 40 times 24,000.
9,600.
All right. Now you got to find the book value at the beginning of next year. What is my book value? Now year 1 is 24,000 times 40% is equal to 9,600. Year 2 is what? What's my book value at the beginning of year 2? 14 what? You multiply that by 40%, what do you get?
57.60.
That's what you keep doing. Now, even if it's part year, you keep doing what I'm showing you here. When they say part year. Now, you still debit depreciation expense and you credit accumulated. So let me give you an example here. You bought something for 60,000. Gosh. Scrap is 3,000. Life in years. Life in years is, we'll go 4. All right, give me the first 2 years depreciation. All right, forget about scrap, right? 4-year life is what percent a year?
25.
Double it, you got? How much? So your first year depreciation is what?
30,000.
And your second year depreciation would be what?
15.
Okay, you did good on that. Now, what if we bought this item on July 1, 19? Find me the first 2 years depreciation. If we bought it on July 1, 19. I don't know if we have heat here or not. We got the heat, man. It says it's 72. Oh, that's what it said on it. They don't feel 72, does it? Anyway, they're working on it. Always working on it. All right. What you need to do is just find this first year, multiply it by 6 months over 12 months, and your first year depreciation is how much? What's 1/2 of 30,000?
15.
Now, how much does that leave your book value for next year? $45 times 50 would give you what? 22. All right, now your book shows you different on how to do that, but this is the cleanest way to give you the same answer. Now look at their double decline balance here. When it was 5 years, it was 40% a year. 40% of 24,000 is equal to 96. 40% of 14.4 gives you 5760. And that's what we were doing a minute ago. But now look down to 5th year. The 5th year, you just take it all, the remainder. Okay, let's work this one, guys. Let's add C to it. Year 2. Work this one. Do y'all have any basketball games over the break? What? Are you on the team? Okay. Anthony, how about you? Are you on the team this year?
Oh, that's good.
In January? January? Huh? Okay. How many games have they played this season? So about a third of them? So about a third of the game?
I'm not too sure.
It's only played this 27 games. That's only good. Okay, guys, what is your rate?
20%.
10 into 100 is 10%. Double makes 20. What's 20% of 125,000?
25,000.
Is that 25?
Uh-huh.
And then the next year we start off with
100,000.
times 20 is
20,000.
I don't know how I slid some answers out of the way there. But I did. They were on here. Here they are. All right. A and B are at the bottom. 20%, 25,000. All right. So here's your three methods: straight line, activity, units of, and double declining. We'll work some exercise. Part year depreciation. We did it on straight line. You don't have to worry about it on units, and we did it on declining balance. I'm skipping part year. Now revised depreciation. Got to look at that for a moment. The initial cost was 140. Life was 5 years. Scrap was 10. So you took 10 from 140 straight line, got 130. 130 divided by 5 years gave you 26,000 a year. But what if next year you wanted to change your life or your scrap? All right, find your book value. After 2 years, they decided to change something and accumulate depreciation. Now, always find your book value when you revise depreciation. At the beginning of the 3rd year, the company estimates the machine's remaining life is 8 years. Well, how many did we start with? What was its life? What was its life to start with? Right here.
Wow.
All right. You depreciate how many years? 2. You're supposed to have 3 to go. But now we decide it's going to last 8. Find your book value and start all over again. Whatever the new scrap is, $88,000 minus 8 divided by 8 years. Now you got 10,000 a year. It's not hard to revise depreciation if you use a little bit of common sense. Phew, repairs and improvements. Revenue expenditure, you take it off as an expense. But if it adds on to the life, when they say a capital expenditure, you are talking about depreciation. You capitalize it over 5 years, 10 years, 8 years, what have you. Now, if you bought a new pickup truck and you put a snow blade on it, you want to go out and scrape snow in the winter, you just add that snow blade on to the cost of that pickup truck and depreciate them both together. Now, if you add that snow blade on a year later, if it's a business truck, you can depreciate that snow blade separate, okay, than the truck. Now, if you just go out and put gas in the truck and you put tires on the truck, it's a revenue expenditure. Take them off as a repair and maintenance expense. Jacob, how far did you have to drive this morning?
Yeah, Harlan,
Anthony, how far did you come this morning?
I walked.
Well, that's not bad. You had good traction, I guess.
Nah, I was getting slick coming
You
down
say
that
it
hill.
like that.
The what?
I was getting slick coming down that hill.
Yeah. How about you, Marcus? How far did you come this morning?
I came as soon as I woke up.
How far?
Like a minute, 30 seconds.
30 seconds? Where you live? Down the railroad yard?
These apartments across the street.
Okay. How about you, Patrick?
I live in Bluefield, Virginia.
7 or 8 miles away? Um, I lived in Richlands and I took a class in Johnson City at night when I was working on MBA. And I rode with a friend, and it seemed like every night it was bad snow or anything. It was his turn to drive. But it took us an hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours to get to class. We never missed. And the instructor talked about people who lived right there in Johnson City down the street couldn't make it. And we drove 100 and some miles. Uh, it depends on how bad you want to get to class. I don't encourage anybody to endanger their life. Uh, we have students around here that if they have snow on their hill, they can't get off, or they'll be afraid to. But looking around up here, I don't believe any snow stuck to any pavement hardly, did it?
My neighborhood it did, but
Stuck to the pavement?
Mm.
It could have. If you live on a hill, and some of these females are afraid to drive off, that's okay. But these 8 people who are absent today, I have one thing to ask you. If today was work day, would you sleep in because of snow? How many businesses get off a snow day? Not many. Now, if you work the school system, how about schools up here? Are they on late schedule today?
I think they're closed. Nah, they went in. They went in late. They had to let late.
Today?
Yeah.
So be a teacher then if you want to go in late on a snow morning. Or you might even get to stay home on a snow morning. But most jobs, you don't get to do that, do you? And I got a feeling our new dean up here, this semester and next semester, you're not going to have many snow days, no matter how bad it is. And you're not going to have many late days, no matter how bad it is. And I'm glad he's not calling late days and off days this week, because it's our last week. We need to be here. So it's up to you how much grit you have in you, and how much stamina you have in you, and how much you want in education, and how much you want to do well in a class or an exam, whether you want to be here or not. But now, Patrick, you missed what, 1 day this semester?
Yeah.
Marcus, you've missed how many days this semester? 9?
9.
I knew that's what you said. I was trying to trick you.
Probably like 3 or 4.
The what?
3 or 4.
I figured you missed some. I've got it marked down somewhere. And Anthony, how about you? And how about you, Jake? So we got 2 people here that's missed 1 day. That's not bad. That's really all anybody should miss per semester.
What?
1 class per semester. That's enough. That'll take care of a dental appointment, a doctor appointment. But now people do get sick. I account for that. People do have sick parents. I've had students had to stay home with sick parents. But you know, I have other students that's had excuses. I had one student had about 6 grandpas to die during 1 semester. You don't have that many grandpas, so making excuses. But I want you to be here when you can get here. Make that extra effort, but don't endanger yourself. I don't want you hurt getting here. But I'll be here. Okay? I've been at Bluefield State for 10 years. I've not missed 1 day. I may have left 1 class early or so, for some kind of appointment. But anyway, you do what you want to do. Of course, maybe a lot of my students are not as lucky as I have. This makes me 52 years of teaching, and I've missed 10 days in 52 years. All right. Not bad, is it, Anthony?
Oh. Got three.
And my wife had cancer for 13 years before I lost her. And I missed a few of those days with her. All right. But anyway, there's days I could have taken off, but I didn't. Okay, ordinary maintenance repairs, we debit an expense. Repair and maintenance expense and credit cash. But if you had to do something to that to extend its life, the engine of a forklift that is near the end of its useful life may be overhauled at a cost of $4,500. If you do that, you don't debit the forklift. You don't have that much more money in that forklift. You debit accumulated depreciation and credit cash. And that gives you more to depreciate. That's called an extraordinary repair. An improvement can be a capital expenditure. You can depreciate it separate. There's a delivery truck might be improved by adding a $5,500 hydraulic lift. Well, now that's an improvement, and you're adding that onto it. So you just debit truck, like I told you a moment ago. Improvement versus extraordinary repair. I don't know how much time today I'm going to spend Thursday on getting rid of a fixed asset. Now, how would you get rid of an asset? If you got an automobile, how would you get rid of it?
Sell it,
You can sell it right out. What else?
trade it.
You can trade it in. What else? Well, now, if you total it and get insurance, that's the same as selling it. Now, if you just take it to the junkyard and dispose of it, you're getting rid of it, and you'll get no money from it. So you can give it away, you can throw it away, you can trade it, or you can sell it. That's what we'll be looking at Thursday. Right now, we're going to natural resources. What are some natural resources in West Virginia?
Coal.
Plenty of coal. What else? Timber is a natural resource, and it's one natural resource that can be replenished. You can plant baby trees, siblings, or whatever they call them. Besides trees and coal, what else does West Virginia have?
Water.
What?
Water.
Water is a natural resource. Hopefully we never use it up, but you never know. And even rock quarries, rocks are the natural resource. Limestone, salt. Some states have salt in them. Natural resource, even if you get strain ocean water to get salt. But there's a salt mine in southwest Virginia over a little town called Saltville, where the Confederacy took salt out of a salt mine in Saltville for their army. But in West Virginia, you have gas, and you have some oil. I doubt that you have any gold and silver, do you? Some states may have a little bit of gold and silver, which is a natural resource. I guess oil, which we mix coke with out of coal to make steel. So we have natural resources, and we've got to deplete them, okay? And we remove it for sale. A natural resource works like this, folks. Look at this formula. Have you seen that before? Just like your units of production. Units of production. It's your cost. Don't worry about scrap. It's the estimated total units. Okay, so we got coal in West Virginia. Some coal operation goes in and buys up a lot of mining rights in Mercer County. They pay $10 million. And they expect to get 100,000 tons, 100 million tons of coal in Mercer County. How much is the depletion rate per ton? Divide 100,000 into 10,000, what do you get? 100,000 into 10, what does that give you? That'd be 10 cents, wouldn't it? 0.1, 10 cents. It works the same as units of production. Now we debit depletion expense and we credit accumulated depletion just like we did depreciation. Now let's look at this one. One more item we got to capitalize. We buy a we buy a copyright. What's a copyright on? Poems, songs, books. A trademark. What's a trademark on?
Like a logo or.
Oh, this thing has a trademark or not? Germanic, I guess that's the name of it. What's the trademark for Ford? Now Chevrolet, we know what Chevrolet symbol is, and we know Ford has a light for a better ideal. And let's see, what does Ford have? Ford, is it Ford Tough or Ram Tough?
Ford Tough.
Okay, how about the Ram? The GMC, each one of them has a saying.
Yeah.
All right, but you can actually amortize some of those jingles and slogans. Okay, goodwill, if you give too much for property, you're paying for goodwill. If it's worth 100, you give 120, you're giving 20 for goodwill. Well, we've got to, now Anthony, what's this word right here, Anthony? All right, Jacob, what's that word? Marcus, what's that word?
Organization.
Pat.
Amortization.
All right, all four of you are on the same beat. All right, amortization, amortization. It is, yeah, that's what everybody looks at it. Amortization, it's amortization. Okay, so we've got depreciation, depletion, amortization. So you saw a new word today. Remember it. Debit, amortization expense, and credit patents. Here you don't credit accumulated, you credit the asset. You credit goodwill, you credit trademark, you credit patent, you credit copyright. Now, we have to know what the life is. I have to give it to you. The patent will not expire for 14 years. Its useful life is only 5. So we divide 5 into 100,000 and get 20. So it's the shorter of the two. Useful life is 5. Useful life is 14. Copyrights and trademark, you'd have to have the time, trademark is a name, term, or symbol used to identify a business or product. Hey folks, goodwill refers to an intangible asset. It's what I told you it was. You paid too much for a piece of property. Now here, they determined that $250,000 of goodwill created from the purchase of electronic system is impaired. We won't worry about that type of entry. You don't have entries on the exam anyway. All right, now folks, I've took you through a lot this morning in chapter 10. I want you to finish up 9-inch engage, start 10-inch engage, and if you can be present at all one time this semester, please try to be present the last day of class. And we've got a lot to do, and I've got a lot to tell you what's on the exam. I need to accumulate any points for anybody who's pre-registered or missed 1 day, no day, or 2 days. And it looks like Patrick, Patrick and Antonio may be the only two that gets 10 points for attendance.
Not me.
Marcus, you said you missed 3 or 4.
I said 2, but 3.
3's too many, 2's right. I'll check. We'll look at it. All right, what I want you to try to do, folks, I want you to do exercise 10-1. 10-1, that's on page 523. I want you to do a few other exercises. Exercise 5. Exercise 7, practice these methods. Exercise 10, 11, and let's do some depletion. 19 and 20. Now, folks, try to at least do those exercises, and we got more to do, and then I'll have to give you an assignment over the weekend before the exam. So we lost that 1 day, that hurt. So do everything you can do to keep up. And those people who are absent today, do everything you can Thursday to get out of bed. If that's where you are. Okay, guys.